That was the deepest I've ever been in the pain cave, and pushing through that marathon gave me so much confidence that I could do just so much more.
Welcome to the Retired Athlete Mentality Podcast, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories of former collegiate athletes who have transitioned from the competitive world of college sports to the grueling but rewarding world of endurance racing. Each episode, we bring on athletes who have gone from courts, fields, and tracks to marathons, triathlons, and even ultras. School's back in session. Welcome to the show. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Retired Athlete Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Jamal from Running State University, and on this episode, we have Drew Wendel from Kennesaw State University, where he competed in tennis. While at Kennesaw State, he helped his team make it to the Atlantic Sun Conference tournament and advance to the semifinals for the first time in program history. At the end of his career, he placed top 10 in all-time singles wins, singles winning percentage, and doubles wins. Shortly after graduating, Drew found himself through running and lifting. He has completed 3 full marathons, 5 halves, multiple 10Ks, and 3 Hyroxes, all while balancing a family and a professional career in sales. Drew, let's talk about your retired athlete mentality. How have you been?
I'm doing good, Jamal. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to talk through my journey.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on. Well, let's get right to it. And so let's take it back all the way to childhood. So you had mentioned that you played a lot of different sports. Can you talk about what those sports were?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, growing up, I grew up in Lawrenceville, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta, and pretty much played a good bit of everything growing up. A lot of baseball, a lot of basketball, golf, tennis, swimming. Everyone plays a little bit of soccer, and was probably playing the most baseball at the time, about 10, 11, 12, and a good bit of basketball. And then from there, I finally picked up a tennis racket. And as soon as I started hitting the ball and getting to play every single point instead of baseball waiting for it to come to me, I was like, this is awesome and a lot of fun. I started getting a little bit better and pretty much just fell in love with tennis. And from at 14, I quit all the other sports and went all in on tennis, decided that, going and playing in college was going to be my number one goal. And I went to an academy from there on out and played a ton of tournaments and eventually ended up playing at Kennesaw State and had an awesome career. But it all stems from just that love to compete in any sport, really. Tennis was just the best vehicle for it for me growing up and what I really fell in love with.
Yeah, so you specialized and you went to an academy, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
And so was that academy separate from high school tennis, or did you not play high school tennis?
Yeah, so tennis is actually pretty unique because they're completely separate. High school tennis is its own thing. Our high school tennis coach was awesome, but was not necessarily a tennis coach. I know that's going to sound crazy, but
Yeah.
all of us at my high school pretty much went to the same academy where it was after school, and then there were some that did like half days and would go full time. But we had really, really good coaches at that academy. And pretty much I graduated from the neighborhood like tennis coaching realms to needing something a little bit more. And, you just need to be around really good athletes who are also trying to get play in college. And that's where the academy came in handy. And then even their academy coach did not even want guys playing high school tennis because it kind of took away from the typical junior circuit of playing tournaments and doing stuff. But I just loved being on the team. I loved my high school. We won a couple state championships. I got to be player of the year my senior year. So that was an awesome experience. I mean, being on a team is just the best. But yeah, they're completely separate. So the way you get recruited in tennis is through those junior tournaments on those circuits. A college coach would never recruit me from any high school stats in tennis.
Yeah, which is unique, like you said. So I've heard of, athletes that are playing tennis also considering like homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do the homeschool thing and then, compete at a high level at tennis. Was homeschool ever in the option in the bag for you?
It honestly never was. I was such a late bloomer to tennis. I mean, I picked up a racket the first time I was probably like 10 or 11. I really didn't start hitting a lot of balls till I was 12. So by the time I was 14, I was like ranked 120 something in Georgia. I mean, I was not good compared to most of my college teammates were already top 5, top 10 in their state or region or country even. Because tennis has a lot of internationals. I had a lot of awesome international teammates. I did have a few like friends around the junior circuit that would do like part time, half school or homeschool. Um, but I was just such a late bloomer. I wasn't that good. I grew late. We get into that a little bit, but I didn't really hit my growth spurt until junior, senior year of high school, and my
Mhm.
serve got way bigger, and I just got bigger and stronger. But yeah, just no, never really was an option for where my game was at, or I guess our yeah, just growing up.
Yeah, so that's interesting because, when you look at your big major sports, football, baseball, soccer, a lot of it, and soccer is kind of in the middle where you're playing club and you're
Mm,
playing high school, but football is generally like what you do on the high school field is what gets you into college, whereas tennis is like what you do outside of high school is what gets you to college. So that's interesting. And so, did you find that when you were getting recruited, you had coaches at those events?
yep. So, or they would only go to the big junior tournament,
Okay.
not a high school match ever.
Yeah.
I guess maybe if they knew I was playing another
Hmm.
guy who was also, like, highly ranked, there's a chance they could come out to watch, but that would be if they're, like, local or something. No, you would go to the big junior tournaments, the Southern Closed, like, Mobile, Alabama had, like, a 60-court facility, and there
Wow.
was just, I mean, a million college coaches there watching guys, and, you're messaging them like, "Hey, I'm gonna be on court 46 today, come watch me play
Yeah.
this guy," or whatever, and, my dad's always there, and he's, like, looking around to see if there's any coaches watching you, but,
Yeah.
I mean, you're on the road most weekends going to, like in the southern area, it's like Macon, Georgia's the big one, Chattanooga, Mobile,
Mm.
Montgomery, Birmingham, Charlotte, Lexington, all these different places throughout the Southeast where coaches would go to those big tournaments to watch you play, and that's where all the recruiting was done. And occasionally, like at your academy, you could set up a practice match, or our academy had several guys that were trying to play in college. So um, I think we had a couple college coaches like come to a practice occasionally, but yeah, those big tournaments is where they could really find you.
Yeah. And did you have was Kennesaw State your number one throughout that process?
Kennesaw actually wasn't. I mean, I was looking at all those mid-major schools throughout the
Hmm.
Southeast. I mean, I remember writing a letter to like the Coastal Carolina coach because I thought
Yeah.
that sounded like such a cool place to go.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, that was a cool letter. That was unique, but I'm not recruiting you." And then I took like a official visit to like Presbyterian, Gardner
Yeah.
Webb's, Chattanooga, and Kennesaw just worked out. All of it just came together. It was pretty close to home, but far enough away to have some space and just some good guys on the team and awesome coaches that I just connected with. So yeah, it really worked out and was an awesome, awesome college experience.
Yeah, and so when you got to Kennesaw State, what was your mentality coming in as a freshman? Did you get to meet any of the players beforehand, or was it just kind of a fresh slate?
Yeah, I mean, I knew a couple of guys that had gotten recruited there, and got to talk to them, and we were excited. You just don't know what to expect when I mean, you're part of me is just excited to go to college and see what college is like, and being super excited to compete. And I mean, that first day where you get all the gear that
Yeah.
has all the stuff, you get your new
Yeah.
shoes. I mean, that's like Christmas morning, and
Yeah.
we're all so fired up. And the first few practices are just awesome. Everyone's kind of your tennis is also unique because only six guys play those singles
Yeah.
matches, and six guys play doubles, and you can play both. So like most of the time, well, I don't know. A lot of the time, guys that play doubles also play singles. So, like, a lot of the
Right.
time, I would play one or two doubles and then five or six singles. I was usually a little bit better at doubles just because my serve was bigger and
Mm.
I'm not as good from the baseline. So, you're figuring out like your roommates are also guys that you want to be better than so that you play and they don't, and you're playing a practice match. It gets getting heated, and then you're back being roommates, going to the commons to eat breakfast or
Yeah.
dinner. So I guess most college sports are like that, where
Yeah.
they're starting positions and you're friends, but also competing to be in those spots. So it was a cool dynamic, and yeah, I mean, I was just so excited to be there, meet the team, and compete. We had an awesome time.
Yeah, so you talked a little bit about, you played both doubles and singles. Were you competitive from the very start of your freshman year, or did you have to work towards that, towards your junior and senior year?
Yeah, I it was definitely a work in progress because, as I said, I was a late bloomer. So I was almost, I think I was a 4-star recruit by the end of it, but that was right at the end of my senior year, which, you commit and are trying to find places closer to the beginning of your senior year or the end of your junior year, kind of. So, um, and that was kind of my selling point to any coach was like, hey, look at my ranking. I was 800 in the United States when I was 15. I was 400 when I was 16. I was 250. And then I had gotten up into that top 200, which made you a 4-star recruit at the time. And all that recruiting stuff has kind of changed. It goes by rating now, your UTR. But I knew that I was going to have to go put in work once I got to college to make the lineup and play both. I did start playing in the doubles lineup, but I didn't play in the singles lineup.
Mm.
Just wasn't good enough. But like I said, my serve was good, and doubles and volleys were good to have those strengths shine in doubles, but not singles as much. And then, yeah, I just worked like crazy, getting bigger and stronger throughout college to the point where sophomore year I was playing a lot more singles. Junior year and senior year, I pretty much played in the lineup, doubles and singles full time. And yeah, as you said, open up the podcast, I was able to get a lot of wins at those lines for the team.
Yeah, and it sounds like those wins helped you qualify for the tournament. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so at Kennesaw State, the tennis program was pretty young. I think when I got there, it had been around for like 15. I think Kennesaw became Division One in 2004. I
Mm.
got there in 2013, 14, and we had never been that far in the conference tournament. So we had a short history um, at Kennesaw State, and we had a new coach that came in when we all got there, me and my like freshman class, and it was always a big deal to us to get as far as, we wanted to win conference. We never got that done, but we went further than any team had gone before in Kennesaw State history before us. So that was a really big deal to us.
Yeah, that's super cool that you could develop and build a young, newly Division 1 team. I've talked on this podcast before about teams that are going from club to Division 1 or just completely starting a Division 1's team,
Hmm.
and you get to kind of develop and see the growth of that team. And so you were kind of on the a little later on end, not as fully developed, but it's still cool to see. You essentially help that team get to its future goals.
Hmm. Yeah, and they've kept it going from there. One of my best friends and teammates is the assistant coach there now, and they've just continued to take the program to new heights. And we definitely feel like we laid some of that foundation that built some of that culture.
Yeah, that's super cool. And then, after you had finished, we talked about some of the all-time records you were breaking by the time you graduated. But then you moved on from Kennesaw State, and then you went into the real world. Can you talk about what that transition looked like for you?
Yeah, I mean, brutal transition
Yeah.
from playing tennis 2 hours a day to straight up 8 to 5 at a desk, financial
Yeah.
analyst. I did get married shortly after college to my wife now, and
Yeah.
we had gotten an apartment in Atlanta together. And being with her through it all was definitely just really important. And I have an awesome family here. That's a great support system. But man, that transition was so hard. I mean, I remember so many days being at my desk that because I graduated sort of in the spring, summer there, and that fall, September, October. I mean, I was sitting at my desk just thinking like, man, 6 months ago, I was on road trips,
Yeah.
competing, we were having fun, eating with the guys. I mean, I loved the meals, hanging out with the guys, like the pre-match meals and
Yeah.
the post-match, like Chipotle, and you get a win, and coaches like everyone's getting double steak and get the guac, like we're
Yeah.
all we're all getting hyped up. I mean, it's just the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, I had so many days I'm just sitting there at my desk, like missing that. And I mean, I immediately gained like 15 pounds. I
Yeah.
think my playing weight senior year was like 200 to 205.
Hmm.
I was probably about 180 when I went to college. So I had put on some pretty good mass and
Yeah.
built some strength, and that really helped my game throughout my college career. But I mean, I remember I got up to 230 at one point, and I had just I was still working out too. It was crazy,
Yeah.
like I was
Mhm.
still like getting a decent workout in, but it just did not compare to what tennis was doing. I was still eating
Yeah.
like I was playing tennis 2 hours
Right.
a day plus a
Yeah.
lift, plus a team
Yeah.
lift. So yeah, I just had to make some big adjustments from there.
Yeah. What were those adjustments? And kind of can you talk through like the timeline, like when those started to click?
Yeah, so I graduated there at the middle of 2017, and then I proposed to my wife that New Year's Eve, I think 2017, and that fall of 2017 is where I was really having that hard time with the
Mhm.
transition, putting on some weight, and then the wedding ended up being in November of 2018. So I needed to cut for the wedding, right? So
Yeah.
that was like a good driver. And then this is so ridiculous, but you might remember at the time, my group chat with some of my old tennis buddies, we had gotten into the Kino body guy, Greg O'Gallagher. He's out there.
Yeah.
People will know him. He
Mhm.
was real big on intermittent fasting
Yeah.
and black coffee
Yep.
to not break the fast. And that actually worked for a long time.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting at my desk and being a financial analyst, I did not need to eat a big breakfast or anything like that in the morning. I wasn't training in the morning. I didn't have kids in that responsibility.
Yeah.
So I just started drinking black coffee and not eating till 12:30.
Yep.
I grew up a really picky eater.
Mm.
I've graduated from that, but I can still eat like the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
And not my wife is like, "We gotta mix it up. We need variety, we can't." And I'm like, what do you mean?" I'm happy to eat my ground beef and rice every
Yeah.
single day. So,
Yeah.
at that time, I just started meal prepping. I
Yeah.
made ground turkey, brown rice, and broccoli, and I would do some buffalo sauce over it every day for lunch. And that whole office I worked with knew I was gonna come in, drink black coffee. I was gonna go sit in the cafeteria
Yeah.
and eat my ground turkey meal, and then at 3:30, I was gonna have my banana and a decaf cup of coffee just 'cause I was just loving sipping on coffee,
Yeah.
and then at 5 o'clock, I was sprinting down the stairwell to get out so that I could get out of the parking lot and get home, after that. So that was the biggest adjustment at that time was kind of that intermittent fasting helped me sort of start but that was like a really temporary, like, cutting for the wedding type
Yeah.
thing, and then we had gotten some of those Kino body workouts going, so I was still hitting that was a time where I was not even remotely thinking about running at that
Yeah.
point. I was trying to do more bench press and curls, pull-ups, deadlift, squat, all that type of stuff, and so I got married in 2018 there at the end and had cut with the wedding, and then at the beginning of 2019, I listened to a Goggins on Rogan, that
Yeah.
podcast, which people are gonna
Mhm.
be familiar with.
Yeah.
And I signed up for a half marathon that night after hearing that podcast. I was so
Nice.
fired up. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, man, he's right. I am being so soft, being at my
Yeah.
comfortable desk job, and I'm over
Yeah.
there doing some bench press and curls. And it's time to go push myself and go compete
Mhm.
again. And man, I just connected with that like crazy. I ran a half marathon. I had a pretty good time. I mean, I always ran a little bit growing up. Obviously, with tennis, it was pretty cardio heavy sport. So
Yeah.
I always ran a good bit. We always did like a team 5K, and I was decent at that. I think I ran a couple like sub 20-minute 5Ks in
Yeah.
college, but I was lighter and in good shape at that time. And then we would do a run up Kennesaw Mountain, which was always pretty tough, but it was short compared to anything like a half marathon. I had never ran more than I think I ran the Peachtree one time growing up,
Mm,
which is
yeah.
the biggest like
The
10K
10K?
in the
Yeah.
world or something. I think I did that once. So that was the longest I had ran prior to signing up for that half marathon. But I signed up for that, went on the apartment treadmill that we had that night and ran like 8 miles.
Nice.
Just thought I was like, I just thought I was so hard, like pushing myself and stuff.
Yeah.
And that that sort of is the genesis of my endurance training and the hybrid training.
Yeah, and I laugh because when you talk about when you talk about your meal prep meal, it's just like
Mhm.
it's what I got in the fridge right now, and my wife says the same. It's my wife says the same thing. She's like, "What do you do?" Like, and I'm trying to like convince her to be like, "This is the way. Come to
Yes.
me. Like,
We can
come
do
to me."
variety at dinner time, but we can eat the same
Yeah,
breakfast and lunch every day, I
yeah,
promise.
exactly. But she doesn't. She doesn't buy it. So
Yeah,
I eat
same.
my rice, broccoli, and some sort of protein.
There you go.
Um, so okay, so back to it. You then started picking up running. You said you did Peachtree, but was there another race that was kind of your first race, we'll say?
Yeah, so it would definitely be that half marathon. I have it behind me. It's a medal
Oh,
right
nice.
there is my
There.
first half marathon.
Yeah.
It was the Run the Reagan, just a local
Okay.
down like a parkway by where
Yeah.
I grew up, and I didn't do much after that. I ran that race and it was awesome,
Yeah.
and the thing is I knew I needed to run a full marathon after doing
Mhm.
that. I mean, I did well. I didn't train. I had no training plan. I just, thought, "All right, I'll run 5 today," and I could do that kinda slow. I had no idea about, like, easy running, hard running,
Yeah.
interval days, no education on that, and, it just Jake, my buddy, called me in August, at the beginning of August, one of my old teammates, and he's like, "Hey, man," I remember it was Sunday morning, I was still in bed, and he's like, "Hey, man, we gotta run a marathon. Will you run a marathon with me?" And I was like, "Dude, that's a great idea." And you know what? I've actually been like, that's been in the back of my head. It's crazy you called. I think it was a God thing that he called,
Yeah.
and he would agree because it
Yeah.
changed the trajectory of both of our careers. I mean, he just got done running a backyard ultra and
That's
absolutely
awesome.
crushed it. And I mean, I've probably ran over 1,000 miles with Jake at this point between
Nice.
all the long runs. But he called me that day, and we were like, "All right, we got to find a marathon." So we just did not know what we didn't know at that point. So
Yeah.
we picked the Chattanooga Marathon, Seven
Yeah.
Bridges.
Yeah.
I look at that marathon now. I think I'm still in the newsletter. Every year it pops up, and I'm like, dude, I'm not running that. The amount of
Yeah.
hill, like I
It's
almost
so hilly.
died. Like my quad was toast at mile 20.
Yeah.
I had no idea about nutrition, hydration, electrolytes. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew to drink water, and we prepped a little bit, but yeah, it was 4 weeks out. We were like, okay, cool. We'll run 12 miles this Saturday. We'll run 15 next Saturday. We'll run 18 the next Saturday, and then we'll go hit the marathon, the next Saturday.
Yeah.
And we just thought like 8:30 miles was like a felt like a normal pace to run for 4 hours basically. So we
Yeah.
kinda went with that. I cramped up bad at like mile 19. We were going up a
Yeah.
bridge into the wind, and I'm like, "Jake," we don't have a Garmin or anything at that point. Like Jake
Yeah.
had his, phone like strapped to his bicep,
Yeah.
and he was fine. So he was doing good. So I was like, "Dude, you go. Like, don't wait on me?"
Yeah.
And so he finished out, ran a pretty good marathon. I don't know his time, and I remember just running at like I was just doing a hobble, just
Yeah.
crushing the goo gels. I haven't had a goo gel. I haven't had a goo since that race. No offense to goo if they ever see this, but I will never have
Yeah.
one of your gels again. I was so wrecked. I was just panicked. You're just cramping and you just
Yeah. Just give me
just
anything.
knew nothing about how tough that would be on my stomach.
Yeah.
But we got through. I ran a sub 4 hour marathon. I think I ran a
Nice.
3:59:44. I connected with a guy at mile like 25.7 and was
Yeah.
like, "Hey man, are we close to sub 4?" And he like had the Garmin. He's like, "Dude, we can get there."
Yeah.
And just gutted it out. And that was the deepest I've ever been in the pain cave. And pushing through that marathon gave me so much confidence that I could do just so much more and could train so hard. And yeah, since then I ran a couple more marathons, a bunch of 5 half marathons now. And but it was really that marathon that and Jake calling me and us just saying, "Hey, let's just go do this thing." And just have learned so much since then. But that's what you do. You try something, you fail. In that case, I kind of failed, but kind of pushed through and you get back up,
Yeah.
you try again. I mean, I was like, okay, wait a minute. I got to figure out what did I do wrong with my hydration, or was I just running too fast? And then, of course, I eventually get a Garmin. I realize like an 8:30 mile, my heart rate's at like 170.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, dude, I was in like high zone 4 for like 3 hours. Like, no wonder
Right.
I like cramped up. So, yeah, that's 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 the beginning of it for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny because, your mentality, like, instead of, like, oh man, that was a terrible experience. Let me never do that again. It's more, that was a terrible experience, and I know I could do better, and I know I can learn
Yep.
about what it takes to do this again. So that's what led you down to multiple marathons, multiple half marathons,
Yeah. But
and so
have you done some marathons?
yeah. So I've done 4 total marathons, probably 5 or so half marathons.
Mhm.
And again, same story. First marathon is like, oh man, I'm out there, I'm cooking, I'm feeling good. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, okay, let me stay with this group. They're like, everybody is like talking about Boston, Boston, Boston. I'm like, okay, yeah, like I can qualify for Boston.
Yeah.
And then I get out there, and this my first one was at in Atlantic City. I was trying to find a flat race. It was a flat race, but it turned out also to be super cold and super windy by the
Mhm.
water, and so it wasn't a good race condition wise. But the course was fine. But yeah, went out fast, got to mile 20. Mile 20 finishes like mile 20 and on finishes on the boardwalk. So I'm just like hobbling along, looking at people, looking at me. They're not there for like the race. They're just
Mhm.
there because it's the Atlantic City boardwalk.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like hobbling on, trying to finish, and then just like make my way through and finish. And again, like I said at the time, like I'm never doing that again. That was
That's what
that
I was
was
gonna say. You were
that
like,
was so dumb.
you
But
gave me
then
what
like
you yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, but then it's just like, well, I know what I did wrong, so like I think I can fix that. I know I can fix that. And that's kind of the
Yeah.
mentality that we have is it's like we just when we get knocked on our butts, like we know how to get back up and fight again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was you made it sound like I finished the marathon and was, like, excited to go try it again. No, man, I had the exact same thought, like, "Holy
Yeah.
crap, I'm never doing that again." And then all 3 marathons that I've done are like that, and even though
Yeah.
I've done better in the next 2, you're at mile 24 and you're like, "Dude, I'm never doing this again." I'm
Yeah.
absolutely battling, and
Right.
then about, like, 10 minutes goes by after that marathon, and you're sitting there going,
Yeah.
"You know what? I think I can train a little harder. I think I
Yeah.
can go a little faster. I think I can
Yeah.
dial in my nutrition a little bit more,
Yeah.
add this hydration, and I can go a little faster." And that's just the competitive nature that you have.
Yeah. I love that. And then, you've talked about it a little bit, but or at least I've mentioned it. You mentioned that you've kind of moved on from running and have taken up Hyrox. Are you doing that full time, or are you kind of still switching back and forth?
So that's kind of the beauty of Hyrox is it's so running focused that you're pretty much ready to run at least a half marathon or less at any point if to be pretty good at Hyrox and maybe even a full marathon. I don't know if I could hit a full tomorrow like in a great way, but the running in Hyrox, especially at the elite level, which is pretty much where I'm trying to go, is so high. I mean, the top guys are running 15-minute 5Ks now, 34-minute 10Ks, I think, maybe even better. And yeah, some really, really fast half marathons. So the running is so good in Hyrox that I'm actually going to run a half marathon in about 12 weeks from now and basically parlay that into a December Hyrox race. Just because I'm bigger, strength I have a more of a strength training background, even though I've done some of the longer endurance stuff, that the difference between me and some of the top Hyrox guys is that running speed. I mean, there's also, a big difference in the stations, but I can gain more time on the runs. So, yeah, doing a half marathon block here, is my plan, and the half marathon translates probably the best to Hyrox racing. The time domain is pretty similar. You're kind of at that, like, threshold pace most of the time. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah, and so you're at that point. Did you ever look back and say like, "Hey, this is the same athlete"? And I know you said you've gained weight, you've lost weight, but do you feel like you're the same athlete that you were when you were playing tennis as you are now?
Mentally or physically? Or what do you
Either one, either one.
I mean, mentally, absolutely.
Yeah.
I freaking love to compete. I actually realized that in college playing tennis on those days where, you're basically a full-time tennis player and you're going to class and doing all that as well. But you really got to either, in my opinion, love the sport that you play or love competing enough to keep playing that sport. And I think that's where I eventually realized I got to with tennis was not necessarily that I loved tennis as much as some of my teammates or even my coach. I feel like they truly love tennis maybe a little bit more than I did, but I love to compete, whether it was tennis, whether it's playing cornhole in the backyard, playing pickup basketball in the driveway, playing like a trivia game, whatever it is, man, I want to compete. And that's what these races give you when you're a retired athlete. We get to, there's just nothing like the butterflies of getting out there on a start line and going and competing. And I mean, I still play tennis. I played in leagues, since I graduated. I've given it up a little bit as we've had our third kid. It's gotten a little bit tougher to play tennis, but with the garage gym, I mean, I feel like there's no excuse not to go find an hour to go hammer a session and get me into a place where I can go toe a start line at a race or a Hyrox race or some sort of fitness competition and do pretty well.
Yeah, and so you mentioned your garage gym, which I've seen on social media, which is pretty awesome. Can you talk about how you came to build that all together?
Yeah, so that's we basically got pregnant with our first child about 5 years ago. He's almost 4 now, so basically right when that happened, my wife and I both had gym memberships. We had a 2-car garage at the time, and I was like, man, I just think it would be awesome to be able to work out at home, have the monitor. I've seen that on social media a couple times. At the time I had seen that, so I started to do a little bit of research like, man, what would that cost? What would that look like? And I found, some pretty cost effective home gym equipment to get started. And I was like, went to my wife and I was like, hey, I'm gonna park outside and turn my side of the garage into a gym. And, she knows that I love lifting and running. And at the time, I was also doing, one of my buddies has a performance gym in Chattanooga, and I was doing his online programming, which he was calling Ultimate Human at the time. And that was pretty much hybrid training before I even knew I was sort of hybrid training, but it was a lot of strength training, a lot of power, a little bit of running, not too much running. I was adding a lot of running to it myself as I was going sort of in and out of some of those training blocks for the halves and the fulls. And I was like, man, it'd be so cool if I could do his programming at my house. So got one of those like folding racks, and I still have the same rack up in my I would call it my new garage gym now because we moved here to a new house a few months ago. But yeah, I got the folding rack, a barbell, a pretty good bench I got on like a 4th of July sale, I think, from Rep Fitness. It's been awesome. And then everything else, Facebook Marketplace, man. I have bought and sold so much equipment and weight. And even for a minute there, I wanted to do the triathlon Ironman thing and I bought a bike, and then COVID hit. It got canceled. Then we're about to have my first son, our first kid. And I was like, okay, maybe 3, 4 hour training sessions aren't the way. And and I'm glad I did because now, we have more kids, and you can get really pretty good at Hyrox training 1 hour a day, maybe a little bit more, finding some time for a few extra sessions here or there. So that's another big reason why I'm going after the Hyrox stuff a little bit more than graduating to some of those ultra distances or the Ironman. I mean, maybe I would love to get there one day. That'd be, cool stuff to say that I've done and go find go find myself out there. You find a lot out about yourself during some of those big time efforts. But yeah, right now I can really try to chase high rocks. And so yeah, I built most of my garage gym pretty straightforward, barbell, dumbbells, got a treadmill, the bike, and was just grinding, buying and selling. And then I'm trying to remember where I had done a little bit of CrossFit in college, like my senior
Mhm.
year. So and during for tennis, our like lifting, we had lifting coaches. We would go to our like gym at the university to lift, and I had learned how to do some Olympic lifting and that type of stuff. So I had a pretty good background in that realm. And then I don't remember exactly when I first saw Hyrox, but I remember knowing of it, and then I follow Nick Bear a lot and all the BPN stuff. I've learned a ton from them, use their supplements a lot, and I remember seeing he started posting, the sessions he was doing, and he was doing a 1K run into a station and a 1K run into something. And I remember telling my wife, I'm like, I think Nick's going to do a Hyrox race. And sure enough, like 2 weeks later, he announces and did a big series on Hyrox Dallas, I think was his race. And I was like, man, that's what I need to do. That I'm pretty tall, I'm pretty fast, I'm pretty strong. It looks like a good combination of all of it. And I ran a doubles race with one of my best friends, and just had the best time. It's right up my alley in terms of a lot of running. You got to be pretty strong. The stations are fun. The rower, the ski. I got those on Facebook Marketplace, and I have them in my garage gym now. The new garage gym, I did invest in like the horse stall mats, and I painted it
Yeah,
dark. I got my dad
yeah,
to help me put up some of the cool hexagon lights.
yeah. I love it.
And yeah, and then at this point too, my wife is super bought in and good to
Yeah,
go with the garage gym. So now we have the
yeah.
whole garage is now a gym. And then
Nice.
I got some rings up in the new gym for my kids, and we have some
Yeah, I
toys out
saw
there.
that. Yeah,
So it's really become just like an awesome place for our family to, be active, and especially for me to like train really hard. I just got a carpet up there, like a carpet turf, and I'm
yeah.
working on getting a sled so that I can do we have a flat-ish driveway now, so I think I'll be able to do some sled work out there.
Nice.
So yeah, but the garage gym, it's just a journey, man. If anyone's out there thinking about doing a garage gym, just get started. Find some stuff on Marketplace, or there's some value brands out there that you can find some stuff. It doesn't cost what you think it's going to cost. And I've actually done the math a few times on, had my wife and I kept our gym membership, how much we've saved by
Yeah,
not paying for that. So, and then, I mean, there's days where I'm like, man, I should have a gym membership. It'd be cool to be able to just, with my job too, like go there, shower, and just keep going to
right.
work or something. Yeah, for now, I mean, the garage gym's the best thing ever, man.
Yeah, I love it. I've seen it. I saw your kids playing on the rings. It's pretty awesome. And if anybody out there is looking for a style, I love the hexagon lights too, the black walls. It looks pretty cool. And so you mentioned, you have a home gym, and you mentioned you've talked and you've looked at Nick Bear stuff. But do you have your own training plan for High Rocks as you start to get more competitive in it, or are you creating things on your own?
I am currently creating a lot on my own, but it's pretty much being pulled together by all of the sort of creators in the space. I mean, RMR Training Podcast, they do an awesome job on posting Hyrox content. And then almost any elite Hyroxer at this point is also putting out some pretty good content on the workouts they're doing, the polarized training that they're doing. So I am thinking about, subscribing and doing a more legitimate training plan or build going into hopefully Hyrox Nashville in December. But for now, yeah, just kind of using the knowledge that I have, the weakness, the strengths and weaknesses that I know I have, and working backwards on planning each week. And, when you break it down by having a couple easy days, sprinkle in a couple hard days, it's not too hard to dial in like a pretty good plan. But I'm definitely interested to see what I could do with a more well-researched, intense Hyrox plan or coach, basically.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. I think it's a little bit easier with marathons and half marathons to find something online, or as opposed
Mhm.
to, just kind of putting together different high rocks workouts and seeing kind of what works for you. And so I think that's something that's going to get a lot better as the sport continues to grow.
Yeah.
And so when you look at marathon training versus high rocks training, do you find one harder than the other, or do you just feel like they're just two different beasts?
Marathon training and Hyrox training, I think, are two different beasts. I think half marathon training and Hyrox training go hand in hand a little bit better, mostly because the time domain. But for marathon training, you're definitely putting in some longer runs and brick sessions. You're definitely, I would say, you're diving deeper into that pain cave. And Hyrox, if you're pretty good, you're doing it in close to an hour and somewhere between an hour and a half. And you can fight through that. And it's broken up with some stations. Hopefully you get to a station where you're like, feel pretty comfortable with. Maybe you're a pretty good rower. You get to sit down and you can kind of catch your breath on the rower for a second. Whereas a marathon, I mean, as soon as you get behind on your nutrition and your hydration, and you're at mile 17, or you're at mile 15 in a 20-mile training run, and I mean, you just got 5 more miles of running, man. You gotta keep going. You gotta find it in you. You gotta figure out what's your why. What do you think about in those moments to keep going? I think marathon can test you more, um, with some of those longer efforts and figuring out what you're really made of when it gets really hard, whereas Hyrox has more of that intense competitive nature of, like, can you really just be intense for a little bit longer and push through?
Yeah, definitely. And while you talk about, pushing through things, is there anything that you've struggled with, whether it's with the marathons, high rocks, when it comes to
I
fitness?
think the biggest struggle is time for a lot of time and sleep as a
Yeah.
dad and as I just posted a video the other day about talking about how if you're 25 to 35 right now, you have as little responsibility as you'll ever have. When I
Yeah.
was 25 and we didn't have kids and we had like bought a house and I had a job, I thought I had a ton of responsibility. I had no clue that I had no responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, I was learning how to adult, but compared to now, like I thought that I was hard back then because I would wake up, go for a long run at 6 a.m., get back at 9 and take a nap and figure out what to do the rest of the day,
Yeah.
And I thought I was like David Goggins, like, "Stay hard," because I was getting up
Yeah.
kind of early to go for a
Yeah.
long run with my
Yeah.
buddy,
Yeah.
and now it's like, yeah, I gotta get up at 4 to
Yeah.
go do a 2-hour run if I wanna do
Yeah.
that, be able to be home and back to being human at 7, and then
Yeah.
there's no nap happening until, like,
No.
way later in the day if we can get a couple toddlers to nap. So, yeah, it's back to full-time dad mode or straight to work or, whatever you're doing next. So, I think the biggest struggle is finding that time and recognizing that you're not gonna get the optimal sleep, and I get so sick of, like, seeing all the sleep stuff on Instagram, and you need 8 hours, this how I mean,
Yeah.
just not in that phase of life, and
Yeah.
it's okay at the same time to, like, not chase a PR
Right.
every single time and swallowing some of that and saying, like, "Man, I am not getting optimal sleep. I'm not in the phase of life to really be like a semi-professional athlete," or whatever you wanna sort of be like, but
Yeah.
hey, it's fun to chase it, and
Yeah.
when I do get some sleep, I will absolutely go hit a hard session, and when I don't get sleep, I'll still go try to do what I can. You try to listen to your body a little bit on those days, but, any workout, you never really regret doing a workout. Occasionally,
Yeah.
you'll regret going too hard, and you gotta take a step back and you learn from it, but, yeah, I would say the sort of the time domain, the sleep, and then just the amount of responsibility I have now with with 3 kids and
Yeah.
full-time job and all the just so many great things in life that you get as you get older.
Yeah, no, it's kind of getting on to what we're going to talk about next, which is, just balance. Do you have any, things that you do that help you balance all of those things that we just talked about?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest one is the garage gym. I mean, I
Yeah.
can be up. I mean, I set my alarm at 5:30. I can be on the treadmill at 5:45 with
Yeah.
not I mean, that's another thing that we give up a little bit and that I actually need to do better about is doing, like, a warm up and mobility.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I can be on the treadmill at 5:45 for, a full hour, whatever session I need to do, and I can be pretty much either on the road or helping with dad duty by 7,
Yeah.
and that garage gym is huge. I also, the thing that, like, people don't talk about is the support from your spouse.
Yeah.
You're like, it's a lot of the endurance stuff can be a really selfish endeavor, and especially the longer hours. You have to have somebody that is rowing that boat in the same direction and wants to support you and understands that my long run is on Saturday morning and we need to eat a lot of pasta tonight on Friday night or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
are they cool with that? And what
Yeah.
expectations do you have to set in your relationship or in your relationship and with your kids to allow you to, be on the same page and neither of you are really building resentment over your training or their training, and that support goes both ways in terms of, hey, you got to be a team. and figure out what works best. A lot of people, a lot of dads, I think the morning is a really good time, but man, I have nights where the kids wake up 3 or 4 times and I'm not working
Yeah.
out that
Mhm.
morning, and it's either like, "Man, is there a way for me to squeeze in, like, a lunch run,
Yeah.
or can I find a track near, like, a customer and get back on the road or something?" Or
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to this fall. I love going in the gym with, like, Monday Night Football on and just hitting, like, an
Yeah.
easy run at, like, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And if I can get a workout in and do, like, a double day occasionally in the morning with, like, a night football run, like, that's awesome. But that's the biggest thing is working with whoever, you're living with or whatever. You have to figure out what works for your schedule and both of your whole family's schedule. And then if you're a single dude, you just do whatever you want, man. You don't have any responsibility. Get
Yeah.
out there, work out whenever you want, make some money, and you're
Yeah.
good to go.
Right. Yeah, no, I think you nailed that. My wife is also a runner, so we have what we call off and on seasons. And so
Yep.
what I'll do is, and for us, we enjoy fall racers the most. So, last fall I decided not to run as much, still train hard, but not run as much to allow, my spouse to be able to work to a goal and try to
Mhm.
beat that goal. And eventually she did, which is great to see, especially when you know that you're doing less for your goals and she's doing more for hers. So it's
Mhm.
it's it's all about balance, working out and what works for the family. And so you definitely nailed that, because if you can't get on the same page doing a 20-mile long run on a Saturday or Sunday and coming back to an angry spouse is not good.
And don't say you're tired.
Yeah, no, no, there's no after, and this is something I kind of take pride in, because I personally think that after a 20-mile long run, if I go lay down, it's worse on my body. So I kind of take pride in like trying to let the kids work the kinks out, and so
Yep.
I kind of keep moving, and I don't stop moving, and so it doesn't feel as bad when I sit down and get back up.
Definitely. Yeah. Those are the days I call a little nitro nap if you can on the weekend.
Yeah,
One of my best friends introduced me to that. Take a
yeah.
swig of some cold brew, a little espresso shot, go lay down for 10 or 15,
Yeah,
and be good to go for the rest of the day.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, and so, you talk about, work, balance, life. Where else do you find the time to do things that you love? So you talked about tennis. Do you find that you're gonna try to pick that back up once your youngest gets a little bit older, or is tennis kind of falling away?
No, I definitely want to play more.
Yeah,
I think I have a decent plan this fall to play some tennis in a league on Saturday morning because I think I'm going to join my dad's team. And
nice.
for anybody out there with kids, if you live close to your grandparents, that's like the biggest. The grandparents are the only cheat code. So
Yeah,
that I think the only way I'm going to be able to get to play this fall is to maybe drop the older two off, like with my parents, and then
yeah,
I'll go play. Well, hopefully I'll play with my dad, which would be really cool.
nice.
That'd be a cool experience, but it's not in the cards to say I'm gonna work Monday through Friday and then Saturday morning, which is when Alta is, I'm gonna go play tennis for 3 hours, and
Yeah,
now that's another day and morning of wake window where your wife
yeah,
is, like, watching the kids again. Because,
right.
but if I could find some grandparent help and allow that to get me to play, because I do love them seeing me play
Yeah,
and wanting them to play. I mean, we have
yeah,
courts in our neighborhood here. That was important to me. And so I've been out there on the courts with them. And yeah, hopefully as they get older, we can like hit back and forth a little bit more and I can be part of their athletic journey. But yeah, I definitely want it to be a priority to keep playing tennis like my whole life, really. Golf and tennis are the best. You can pretty much play all the way to the end.
yeah, forever. Yeah, no, it's good, and I kind of share the same, belief, is like continuing to stay active so my kids see that, so that
Mhm.
they want to do that, whether that's running or baseball, football, tennis. I try, like, I've never played lacrosse, but I bought lacrosse sticks from Dick's, and
Nice.
and I was like, okay, let's learn this together. And so just getting them, interested in athletics as a whole, I think is important.
For sure.
Yeah. And, as we round up and wrap up, what advice would you give to a former athlete, considering endurance sports after their college careers?
I would say get out there and try it. You have to go see what you're made of and go through a tough experience and realize that you love it. You'll thank yourself for it. You'll find that fire that you had at some point and realize you're capable of more than you thought. You're not a washed up athlete. It's still in you. I mean, that would be my advice is go push yourself, see what you're made of. It's easy. We pretty much live in a world that values being comfortable more than anything at this point. And it's cliche, but any way you can get a little bit more comfortable with being uncomfortable, that's going to be a good thing as adversity comes into your life and as you have hard conversations throughout life and say, and I mean, for me, it's sales sometimes, getting rejected or whatever it might be, going through things that are harder and putting yourself in those situations on purpose to go through something hard is going to pay off in the end. And yeah, for those retired athletes, I mean, you got a competitive fire in you. Go find it again. Go get out there. Go try something.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. And so you had mentioned you're going to do a half into a Hyrox, right?
That's the plan.
Is that your next race coming up, or do you have any other races coming up here soon?
Yeah, so that's gonna be it. I think I'm gonna try to do a better like a series sort of documenting chasing a new half marathon PR, and then there's like a trail run near my house that I might hit for fun, like in November, and then yeah, that High Rocks Nashville in December. I will also hopefully do some sort of um, series on how I'm going to attack that and try to set a new PR there as well. So that's sort of the plan for the rest of the year, and I'm excited for what's to come, and a lot more on my Instagram Hybrid Window channel as well of hopefully putting out some valuable content in terms of anybody that might be new to half marathons or high rocks or running or lifting or balancing fitness as a parent as well.
Yeah, and so where can people get those series and find out a little bit more about you?
Yep, it's all going to be on my Instagram at Hybrid Wendell, where I'm documenting the journey of the hybrid training, the high rocks, the fitness, and there's gonna a lot of dad content on there as well of how to make it all work and hopefully some motivation and reasons to be motivated or disciplined when it comes to being fit as a parent and truly how important it is to set the example for your kids.
Yeah, no, I think one of the last things I saw on your Instagram was the birthday party with your kids in the gym, and I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, they had a great time. It was cool because we had some friends over and a lot of little kids, and we had a lot of water toys out, the water table
Yeah.
and the sprinklers, and the kids were just in the gym fighting over the rings. And I was telling a couple of my dad's friends, I'm like, "Oh, you guys are gonna have to put rings up in your garage now
Yeah.
because they were having a blast." And rings are something that I saw on some sort of creators page, but how great they are for kids.
Yeah.
It just builds that strength and some of
Yeah.
that. Any of those gymnastics movements are so good for kids as they're getting trying to be learn their body and get more athletic and strong. And yeah, the rings were just awesome. The kids were just they were just fighting over them, and
Yeah.
it was really fun. It was a fun day.
That's awesome. Well, Drew, this has been such an amazing conversation. Thanks again so much for coming on the Retired Athlete Mentality podcast, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamal. Thanks for having me.
Of course.